I've got a great.
And then,
Yeah, I remember.
It's not even the shape.
Negative.
Mentally ill. Mentally
It's
insane.
a special effects agency. Episode 79. We are back here in the Bark Center. It is me and Adam tonight, the brothers, back from the
just
podcast.
the two of us.
It's kind of weird having only two people when we're so used to having four.
Oh, yeah.
Colin is climbing buildings tonight. Damon's golfing, so doing their important things for the night.
Two very valid excuses.
Exactly, yeah. You can't ever turn down golfing or climbing buildings. So, but me and Adam are here. It is good to be back. We took I don't know how many months it's been since we did the coronavirus one.
I'd say it's been at least 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
I'd say maybe even almost 3.
Yeah, and I feel like I was dead wrong about my predictions for where the coronavirus is going.
I don't even remember my prediction, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I predicted that the cases were going to go down and that this was all going to turn around. Kind of like my early predictions when we first brought it up. Remember the podcast? It was me, you, Damon, Colin. And we just talked about, it was right when the coronavirus started.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And it wasn't, the podcast wasn't about the coronavirus or anything.
It was like a small, little side segment pretty much.
And wow, were we wrong on that one.
Yeah.
It ended up becoming, I would say right now, it is the biggest issue facing the world easily.
Oh, yeah, 110%.
And we never figured that was going to be the case.
No, I even remember sitting in one of my classes in the beginning of March, so right before they had called it off, and our professor was saying that there was a very small chance of it closing.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's no way that they just closed down our entire school, you know.
No.
And then, 2 weeks later we get the email hey, we're done for the semester. You guys
Yep.
are all online.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. I never thought that it would get serious enough to where it would
that
close
level.
down an entire
Yeah.
school system across the country.
Yeah, I mean, not just a school system, but we're talking shut down the economy and everything, and we don't want to get too much into it because it's all you hear about nowadays. But it'd be almost impossible to do the podcast without talking about that. And that is largely why we haven't been doing it, is because we weren't able to get everyone together. And then there were, issues with doing it certain places. And it's not like any of us have been going hardcore locking up in our houses or anything, but it's we have to understand that things are changing, and so we took a step back. We're back here now, though, episode 79, and the big topic tonight is education, but I thought before we got into that, we talk a little bit about the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, which Adam didn't know too much about it, I guess, when I asked you originally, but once I started mentioning Epstein and everything,
Definitely brings it all together.
yeah, it's weird. And I want to say right now, and I've been meaning to say this on the podcast, but we haven't been doing it. If Ghislaine Maxwell commits suicide, I think everyone knows that it's not a suicide.
Or dies of coronavirus.
Didn't she get it?
Well, okay.
I'm looking that up.
I think that she had allegedly got it, or they were afraid that she was at risk for it or something like that. And it's just every time I see something about that, well, for one thing, it's hard to tell what's an actual news story and what's just something fictional to try and get everybody going on the internet and social media. But I have a very hard time believing that if she does end up dying somehow, that it was not intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's so many powerful people that want her dead because we all want to know. We all wanted to know what Jeffrey Epstein was going to say, and obviously he committed suicide, which I don't know if anyone believes that because of all of the high and powerful people that wanted him dead. Now you have his accomplice, and for anyone that doesn't know, Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know if they were ever married, but they were
Partners,
they partnered up in sex trafficking, and now she's in prison. She got caught, and there's been all kinds of rumors going around. I heard one rumor that it was going all over Twitter that that the guards shut her cameras off because she wanted more privacy. So I have a Forbes article here. No, Ghislaine Maxwell's prison guards didn't turn off her security cameras because there was some weird thing around Jeffrey Epstein. Remember that with the security cameras? Why is there no footage?
Wasn't it oh God, I could have swore. I mean, this might be completely wrong, and it sounds ridiculous as I'm thinking about it. But I remember some people saying that the guards had fallen asleep that were supposed to be protecting him.
I think that's true.
And
I think that's true.
Yeah, they had fallen asleep, and so they didn't see him through the act of killing himself. Well, I mean, obviously air quotes killing himself, but
we're talking about the guy, one of the most wanted dead men alive, and who are we having watching him? Like, who are the security guards? Are they just regular guys? Like, oh, yeah, we got a guy first time on the job here. Bring him in. Watch Jeffrey Epstein.
That's that's like the only logical thing that I can think of, because like those guards obviously had to know who he was and how high profile of a like criminal he is, and just like everything with his pedophilia and all that.
Yep.
And it's just like I feel like it's impossible to just not keep your eyes on him the entire time, you know. And it's just I think that it's just so glaringly obvious. I feel that he didn't kill himself because he was like preparing to come out with this big list. You know, he was gonna out.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He was gonna out like half of Hollywood. You know, and then all these people all over the world, everybody, the people in government, just everybody. And I feel like
all of a sudden he's dead.
I feel like he wouldn't hype that up and then be like, nah, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Well, and I got an article here. Guards accused of napping and shopping online the night Epstein died. These guys are on Amazon.com, and meanwhile, we got the most wanted dead guy in America in the other cell, apparently killing himself.
You're out here ordering a new bedroom set, and he's in there doing God knows what.
I'm wondering how hard, and you know, we always talk about corruption, but I would find it very hard to believe that if there are powerful people that want you dead, you're dead. Even if you're in I don't know if it was the most high security prison or what it would. I don't know the level, but I have a hard time believing with the corruption in our government that someone was not able to just get in there and kill him. The guards probably knew about it. Who knows? Everyone was paid off. In the end, no one got in trouble. And that's what's going to happen with Ghislaine Maxwell. The same exact thing's going to happen. But I feel like now they're more under watch. Because if she dies, and you brought up the other thing of the attorney that broke into the judge's house and killed her son.
Yep. So the judge that was assigned, not the Epstein case that had to do with like all like the pedophilia and stuff, but it was a separate one that had to do. I'm pretty sure it was with like his bank account, like his bank statements.
Yeah.
So the judge that was assigned to that, her house was broken into. Her son was killed. I believe her husband was wounded, and then they found this guy who they, I don't know if they confirmed that he was the one who did it, but I'm pretty sure like they're pretty certain that it was him.
Yep, Roy Den Hollander is his name.
They found him dead, from a self-inflicted gunshot.
Yep, and
that just plays into the whole. Into just like the entire.
How many people are going to kill themselves around this guy?
and that's the thing, because I mean I was watching a video on Barstool today, and they were talking about how this judge or this lawyer was very like anti-feminist and stuff like that, and so they were saying that what he would have had for possible motive, because I think a few years prior they said it was. He was trying a case in front of this judge.
Yep, that's what I'm
seeing. And she threw him out of the courtroom.
Yep.
And so they're thinking that could be a motive. But from my perspective, what I'm thinking is, obviously somebody is trying to scare the judge.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm sure, I'll tell you what, it probably worked.
Oh, if they killed her 20-year-old son.
Yeah, and I'm thinking they found somebody who they could pin a motive to try to completely take themselves out of the equation.
Yeah.
But obviously anything related to Epstein is immediately going to come back to the government after what happened with him. So
100%.
So I don't think that there's a way that they can do this discreetly and not have everybody know.
Exactly. And that was what I was going to ask you. This seems like the most dumb people doing this stuff, because I don't know how dumb they think the public is. I mean, people are killing themselves left and right. The guards are online shopping. Like, how dumb is everyone around the Epstein supposed to, like, everyone's supposed to make them out to be? Everyone is just the dumbest criminal ever. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around that. That if there is somebody setting this whole thing up, they're doing a horrible job at making it believable.
But at this point, I don't know if there is anything believable that could happen. Because let's be honest, she could randomly develop a disease tomorrow and then die, and say that actually was like the natural cause of death and everything. Nobody would buy it.
No,
not a single person.
I tell you, I wouldn't buy it.
No,
I wouldn't buy it
chance.
Just because of everything else going on here. There's no way I could buy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing that our government's done. But,
no,
we're not
no.
Get into the conspiracies.
No. Well, we are a little bit. That's a good transitioning point here. Let's just put this on the record right now. As of today, the 22nd?
I think it's
21st today.
Yeah.
The Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. She is alive. As far as we're concerned, we have no idea. She could have been taken out already.
As far as we know.
But as of now, we know that she's alive. So if she is killed, we will definitely bring that back up in the podcast, and we will definitely know the government was responsible for it. Going on to the next topic, though, the main topic for tonight, it is the education system in America, how it all came to be and where we are today and what's changed. And let's just start right away from the beginning. How was your experience in school, Adam? Just from like elementary, because you went to elementary in New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because that was something that I was gonna bring up at some point until you said that I forgot. I remember when I had moved to Minnesota, it was before 5th grade.
Yeah.
And I remember I thought it was so weird because like throughout 5th and 6th grade, I felt like I was already relearning stuff that I had already learned.
Really?
In like 3rd and 4th grade.
Huh.
And I just thought that was such an odd thing, and which goes against, like, you know, obviously Common Core, which is one thing that I know you're gonna bring up. But you know, honestly, I had a good experience. You know, technology was introduced later in high school with obviously a lot of restrictions, and you know, it's kind of you know, it was a new thing, especially at the time.
For sure.
I'm sure now they're a lot more used to it, but I remember it was a big transition going from everybody's got to have a notebook and paper to you can take notes on your iPad.
Yeah.
You know?
And what were we, 9th grade in Wyndham when the iPads were first? It was 9th or 10th grade?
It was our 9th grade year, and only the seniors got it that first year.
Okay.
And then
so we got it 10th grade.
And then 10th grade, I'm pretty sure all of high school had it.
Yeah. And now I'm sure is that the entire school has got iPads.
I'm pretty sure now it's 4 through 12.
Wow.
I think like 4th, 5th, and 6th have like the mini iPads?
Either way, they have iPads.
Regardless, they have technology.
And we didn't grow up with iPads when we were younger. My question, though, for you after that is, do you think that the skill or like what you learned in school growing up, how much of that do you use today? How much of the actual things that you learn in school are you using every day?
See, I think that regardless, that you learn more from experience than school or anything.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to school to do something for how many years? I mean, I'm talking college now, but I know your point is high school. But like, I think that you'll learn things here and there that you'll retain because they're basic skills in whatever you're doing. Yeah. But you're going to learn more through experience than anything else.
100%.
And I think the same thing goes like with high school and all like the generic stuff that we have to learn. I think that it's good, you know, to learn things like history. But like at the end of the day, I really don't know how applicable like 75% of the stuff that we learned is. You know, and, like obviously, you know, I have the utmost respect for teachers that teach all their subjects that they're required to teach, and that they have like a passion for this field. But I think that things that I learned in like biology, calculus, all that stuff, I don't think that I've thought anything about that since then. I think the only biology that, you know, I need to know is like just basic stuff about my body, you know,
the genders and stuff.
I was gonna say that, but I'm like, I better slow down. Before we change the whole topic.
Exactly. And that's a good point you brought up. Like teachers, and because I respect teachers, we've had a lot of teachers on the podcast. Oh yeah. And I respect people that are in education, but I just hope that people know the origin of the education system in this country, because it really. It's not even an argument. If you look at the origin of education in America, it is obedience to the government and to create obedient workers who will listen and work an everyday job, 9 to 5. That's just the truth. And I don't know when or if or how it evolved to whatever it is nowadays. But back in 1900s, early 1900s, I think the first public education school, our system was developed in Massachusetts way back in like 1850, and they had to have a grammar school in every town. And if you didn't go, the kids didn't go, the parents would get fined. And I understand that because you have to have people that are articulate, and you have to have people that, you know, are grammatically you have to have people that know how to talk and write and read. I understand that. But somewhere along the line, John D. Rockefeller comes along. And I've been talking to you about this before. John D. Rockefeller comes along, and Big Oil, for people that don't know, John D. Rockefeller was the first billionaire in the world. Standard Oil. John D. Rockefeller's dad, Devil Bill. So it sounds like a big conspiracy, but you can look all this up. And I watched a couple videos today, and I went back and forth from articles, and it all comes back together. It's all written down. John D. Rockefeller funded like the public education system for America. Like a lot of the same things that kids learn today are based off of John D. Rockefeller and a group of people developing an education system. John D. Rockefeller was quoted saying, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." That's a quote from John D. Rockefeller. And now you could take that either way, that John D. Rockefeller wants America to be hardworking. They want people not just to be sitting around painting pictures and stuff, but they want people to be out doing things and developing. But when I read that quote, to me, it seems like a negative thing, that John D. Rockefeller doesn't want other people to come up and take over things that he doesn't want them to take over. Because in the end, John D. Rockefeller is dead now, but his family is still extremely wealthy. That wealth will never disappear. I mean, when you have $300 billion was John D. Rockefeller's peak wealth, that's not just going to disappear in a couple of years. You know what I mean? So the effects of John D. Rockefeller are still being seen today and will be seen in our entire lifetime and probably our kids' lifetime, because the Rockefellers are still around. They have granddaughters and whatever. So like I was saying, the original origin of education in America was to create workers. And people are going to say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, what are we really learning in school? Are we learning like how to think? Or are we learning what to think? I think we're like kids, especially when we were in school, I feel like we were being told things, and then at the end of the week we'd have a quiz. You'd take the quiz or you take the test, you'd memorize that stuff, and then you'd move on to the next thing, and you'd probably forget what we learned. How much stuff do you remember that we like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like that topic, I think that's probably, like, personally what I think is one of the biggest problems with the education system is that teachers are more inclined to, teach to the test as opposed to, like, teaching the material itself.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, schools, the additional, like, funding and stuff that they get is based on, standardized testing scores.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like teachers, administrators, they're more, what I feel like is they're more concerned with getting a positive results on tests as they are, or they're more concerned about getting good results on tests than they are about the kids actually learning.
Yeah,
like
100%,
like usable skills. And I'm sure that there's things that teachers want to cover, but they're so pressured to make sure that the students know how to answer on these standardized tests that they leave out things that could be a lot more crucial, a lot more helpful to them.
Yeah.
But obviously, like their hands are tied in a lot of those scenarios.
100%, yeah. And I'm sure that they're being told that this is the goal we want to meet. How do you get to that goal? How do you get there? And they're thinking, my whole job depends on me making sure my students test as well as I can. And
that's another thing is that if all of your students come back, or if a lot of your test results comes back, and they're obviously not high scores, that's going to directly reflect on the teacher.
Exactly.
So if the teacher was more so concerned about like teaching or like actually making them understand the material as opposed to just remembering it, I think that they I just think that they're not like incentivized to teach them well. They're incentivized by, if your students do well on these tests, then you keep your job, you get tenured, and that's it. You know?
And I understand the basic premise of it. We're trying to teach critical thinking. We're trying to teach a variety of different things because it's good to be well-versed in a wide variety of things. My problem is, why are we learning and memorizing the periodic table? I understand the idea behind learning like the different things. I don't understand memorizing in one, what thing category. I don't even remember. Periodic table. They're broken into different, like, what is it, like, like, what I'm talking about, though? Like,
this is kind of proving the point that we're making.
Exactly. We don't remember this stuff, but I remember specifically going home and memorizing the periodic table.
I remember having to remember the periodic table, because if you were like the first one done and you got all of the elements correct, then you got like 100% on the next quiz or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And what is that benefiting to us? What are you really going to take home at the end of the day from that?
The only thing that I think is would be a logical answer to that would be that they teach us a wide variety of things, so that way kids that are in high school or growing up and they're figuring out what they want to do, they get a taste of a lot of different fields. So that way when they get past high school and they're going to college and stuff, then they'll have a little bit more of an idea. I just think that making all of these different classes requirements, I think that is a little unnecessary.
It is, yeah. And that's kind of where the Common Core comes into. And I didn't realize Common Core has only been around since 2010. It was during the Obama administration that it was developed.
I was thinking of a different program at first. I was thinking of the No Child Left Behind that came in 2002. Because that's where a lot of the standardized testing stuff came from too.
Yep. Common Core is the most recent one. I thought Common Core has been around forever. I didn't realize it was that modern. Mm-hmm. And a Common Core, the big issue with Common Core is not only like the standardized testing, but the standardized rate of learning. Because every person learns differently, takes a long, there are people who learn really quick. There are people who learn really slow. There are visual learners. There are people who can just read something and remember it. Mm-hmm. The issue with Common Core is it puts everybody into one bubble, and we teach them the same, and everyone has to, take the same test at the same time and learn the same things and move on to the next thing, even if that other student's left behind. That's where I don't know if the no student left behind thing really comes into play in Common Core, because you are leaving students behind. If you don't know what the thing's about and they're already moving on to the next chapter, you got to be with them at the next chapter. Otherwise, they're going to be 2 chapters behind, then 3 chapters behind.
And the thing is that like with Common Core, you would assume that like that they would go to the lowest common denominator, so that way everybody can go at the same rate. But instead, they find a spot right in the middle where you are going to leave kids behind.
Yep.
And then obviously you'll have the kids that get it. But I think it's funny that you said that it was introduced in 2010 because I moved here in 2008.
Oh, really?
So like that 2-year gap right there, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That like obviously we were on like different levels at that time. I feel like.
And I think a big part of the Common Core thing is they wanted to give it so that no matter where you are in the country, you have everyone kind of has the same general learning skills and whatever the classes they took. Because what was happening was people in like different states were becoming way smarter than other kids because they had different testing, that different whatever. So you do Common Core, and then everyone's on the same level playing field. But I just feel like you can't do that. There definitely should be a set of expectations to get to, but it's just the time it takes to get there and the rate at which you should be doing that. And there's a lot of things that come into play. It needs to be, I don't know if you do like, there's like step programs. I think other countries do that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some students are at 5, other students are at 2. So if you're on the 2s, you stay here. If you're on the 5s, you stay here. The 5s might go faster, but they're not going to get way ahead of the 2s and leave them behind so they don't know or learn anything.
I feel like that, like with the way that like especially America is going, I think that the reason or my only thing against doing something like that per se would be that I think that America right now, and especially the way we're going, we're so focused on making everybody feel the same.
Yeah.
So if you like if these kids know that they're on a different learning level than other kids, I feel like that starts more controversy,
like a bullying type thing.
And that's when people come into play, like, hey, like you can't tell you can't separate my kid just because he's not like at the same learning level as somebody else.
Yeah, true.
And I feel like that would just create a lot more divide and stuff like that. And I think that now, like essentially, there's just just one big, everybody's there exactly like what you're saying, and it's just it's not really fair to the kids that like aren't following it as quick or just can't learn as quick, and the fact that it's supposed to take away the whole no child or to bring in the whole no child left behind, and the fact that it's exactly like you were saying that children do get left behind because of it. It is disappointing to the education system and just the overall knowledge of our country.
Do you think that changing the environment that you learn in would affect if people would learn better or not? Like, I know that right now they call it like a factory model of schooling. Like our schools are kind of built like factories. They're like blocky long. You have your room, blocky square room, teacher up in front, everyone else lined up. Other countries don't do that. They do other, whether that mean outside. A lot of countries do outside. I know like the Nordic countries do that. Or they have classrooms set up where the teacher's in the middle, everyone's around. There's other things, and people have gone and done research and proved that kids learn better when they're in different scenarios or different environments than just, your traditional desk lined up, teacher in the front of the room. It just feels very like authoritarian. You know what I'm talking about? Like a very factory setting, like we're setting up these kids to not excel as much. And that might not be as big as changing the whole curriculum, but I feel like environment has a lot to do with kids learning if they want to be there or not. If you're, there's nothing really too appealing about a school. I don't think a lot of kids love going to school every day. How do you make it more like comforting so that they want to be there and they want to learn?
I think that it's kind of tough with something like that, especially when you talk about these high schools that, you know, they graduate, you know, 1,200 kids in the class, you know, or they have these insane class numbers, especially like when there's stuff like that, because I was reading an article earlier today, and it was saying that I think about 40% of the schools, I want to say, are like over capacity.
Really?
And I think that with if students are going to be crammed in there, you know, it's essentially like being in a giant lecture.
Yeah.
You know, there's the less individual learning. Obviously, like me and you didn't have like those giant classes. You know, like we have personal connection with teachers.
Yeah.
But, you know, in like metro cities, just bigger cities in general, you don't really get that feeling. And I feel like a lot of it is just if students know that like, if they feel that like their teachers and stuff actually care about them, and don't just care about their test scores, then they'll be a lot more, you know, like willing to learn. They'll be a lot more motivated because they know that somebody is like counting on them and pushing them to be better. So I think that like the physical layout, I really don't think that that's like a giant problem. I mean, obviously, I've never, like, I don't really know what else you're talking about with other schools that do other things.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the only thing that I can think of is how, like, a lot of places have, like, a siesta during the day. And
what's a siesta? What do you mean?
It's like they take, like, or they have, I think it's an hour break generally in the middle of the day.
Oh, really? Huh.
I don't remember exactly.
Is this in the United States or other?
No, it's in, like, I want to say it's, like, Mexico and, like, other like Hispanic countries. I'm not positive, but but Mexico is the one that I'm pretty sure does it. But yeah, they have, it's called a siesta, like a break in the middle of the day, and I'm pretty sure they do that because it's the hottest part of the day too.
And then they can go home and come back. Really, that might be something to look into.
I just feel like that's one thing that I have against using like other countries as examples, and it's gonna sound hypocritical because I just used another country as an example.
Yeah.
But like one thing that I have against that is. Just because something works like in other countries, I have a hard time believing that it's going to carry over to America. Yeah. Just because
our culture,
we're just so different.
Yeah.
And we just insist on being defiant.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like when people say that like this is a totally separate conversation too. So it's just a little anecdote, but like when people say that like because like certain gun restrictions work in other countries that it would work in America. Yeah. People don't understand. Yeah, like Americans are way too proud and all this other stuff to just give in to something like that. Yeah. I mean, obviously schooling is a lot different conversation than guns,
a little bit. I was going to bring that up though, how I think we're like 38th in math and we're 28th in science, or you know, you bring up these different numbers of where we should be compared to other countries that are as developed as us. But you can't compare American kids to Korean kids when they go to school year round, and we go to school for however many months out of the year, 9 months. Those months in between really do count, and they also take school a lot more serious. If you want to change that, you'd have to change our whole culture, because there's a very American thing about everything we do. It's a very, like you said, defiant. We're very defiant. Everyone just kind of wants to do their own thing. People don't want to listen. And so I understand how you bring that up, how you can't compare us to other countries. But I feel like we can look at studies and stuff and see what does work and maybe try to implement it slowly in certain states. And if it works there, bring it around to the whole country. Oh, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if the original reason that schools are around is still the reason that schools are around. I'd hope not. I'd hope that people, like whoever's running the whole thing, because there's someone in charge of this whole thing. There's always somebody, the government, there's somebody in the government that has their goals and their political things that they want to do. I hope that their goal is not just to make workers, that they're trying to make thinkers. And I don't know how you figure that out, but.
And part of the reason that our number, or like our placing, or our rank, I should say, our rank in the world is so low for like education and stuff. Yeah, is because when they brought in I'm pretty sure it was the Common Core Act. That was when when they brought in Common Core, that was when they mandated that every single student had to do standardized testing every year. Really? And so I saw that in the first year in the year 2000, I think we were 14th, and then in 2012 we had dropped down to like 27th. But a big reason of that is because it wasn't just the people that like wanted to take the ACT and SAT for school and stuff like that. But now you take everybody that like that doesn't even plan on going to college or anything.
Yeah.
And they have to take the.
I remember doing that in school. That test or whatever. What was the name of that?
The ACT.
No, we didn't. No, I'm talking about when we were younger. There was a test we had to take. Every grade I thought had to take it, and I remember going down, and it took like a whole day or two. And you know what I'm talking about?
I remember.
And it didn't count for our grade. It didn't count for our grade at all. It was only for the school to see how well we're doing. Remember that? It was just.
I don't remember what it was called, but
I don't remember the name. Prep or was it prep test or something? I don't remember.
It was something like that.
Yeah, something dumb. And I remember everyone thought it was a joke. Like, we're not going to try this because we don't get graded on it. So what does it matter?
There's no incentive to do well.
The school's like, we need you to do good though. That's why we got like a whole day off to do it. Like, we could just mess around in between things. I think that camera's probably needs to be restarted now, Adam. If you could just push that record button, the button right off to the top.
Oh, the start stop.
Yep. Is the red dot back on?
Yes.
Okay, we're back on.
God, I remember having to like flip the switch on and off.
Yeah, that the GoPro just records, but that camera doesn't. But like I was saying, I remember how it was so valuable to the school, but it was not valuable at all to anybody else because we just didn't care about it. That's a big thing with school. It's valuable to the people that are running it, but to the students, how much do you really care? How much did people actually try?
And that's the thing is like, it's hard to like incentivize them and make sure that every kid is going to do their best. And I mean, it sounds bad that you have to like give somebody a reason to try at something, you know? But I mean,
how do they do it in other countries? How do they get the students to care so much?
I think it's all culture.
Culture, yeah.
Because I mean, one of the biggest things about America, like one of the biggest appeals about it, is that you can like turn yourself into something from nothing. And I think that it's gonna sound a little weird, but like when you have all these like people who are successful, but they like dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
These people, you know, like you take like athletes.
Yeah.
Who just like went through high school, 1 year of college, pro athlete. You take like a bunch of like rappers and stuff who have dropped out of who dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
Started making music, they blew up.
Yep.
I think that even though that is such a good thing, that you can really, anybody can become, you know, whatever they want to be. I think there is a downside to that where people see like, I don't have to take this seriously because after I'm done, I'm just gonna become, you know, like this kind, like be an athlete, or I can be, you know, I don't need to have like this education and stuff like that. So I think that as like motivating as it is to see these people, like to see people who, you know, don't finish school, but they still become successful. I think other people see that and think that it's a lot easier than it actually is.
Yeah.
You know, and, so, and I feel like for that reason, a lot of times people end up not taking school seriously.
Yeah. And it's another topic for another day. It kind of goes into the whole college thing. You know, when should you go to college? Is college right for you? That's a whole nother podcast topic. But like you mentioned, I want to know, you know, because everyone has this dream of being a pro athlete or you know, not a pro, but a rapper or whatever.
Entertainer.
Exactly, yeah.
Anything.
Do you think that that's as relevant in other countries as it is in the United States? Or why are we so obsessed with fame here that we're willing to give up, you know, drop out of high school, which I don't think anyone would recommend. Is that just a United States thing, or is that like a whole world thing?
I think, as far as I know, for the most part, it's got to just be like an America thing, because America is like the only place where I see people that will film themselves doing just something that is absolutely ridiculous that you would never do.
TikTok.
Yeah, like people that like, you know, go into the store and just like slam milk jugs together and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
Like you do stuff like that for fame. You know, you post it on social media hoping that you'll blow up.
Yep.
Somebody will give you money for something, and then your life is set because you have a career doing this stuff now. And I think that people see
crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like all these. God, I wish that I had like the survey, but like if you asked like a bunch of like 10-year-olds right now,
could look it up,
what they wanted to be when they get older. I bet about at least or around between a third and half of them would say they want to be like a streamer.
Really?
They want to be a YouTuber.
Gamer. What do I type in? 10-year-old. 10-year-old survey.
I would say if you're typing in 10-year-old, I'd be careful what you're typing in after that.
Call me Jeff Epstein. 10-year-old survey. What
like,
you wanna be when you get older. I would love to look at. Here it is, right here. here, I would love to look at what it was 20 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Astronaut, firefighter, police officer.
even like 10 years ago. You know? But yeah, like especially when we were younger, that's all it was. I want to be the president. I want to be this. I want to be like stuff. I mean, obviously there were still people that like want to grow up and be athletes and singers. I want to be a pro football player, but.
Nowadays, you want to be a professional TikToker.
Nowadays, I'm pretty sure kids would be more likely to say they want to be a pro 2K player than a pro NBA player.
It's sad. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is as of 20. When are these numbers from? Okay, so our survey, this is from tradeschools.net. No idea like how reliable it is. Our survey participants revealed that during elementary school, many of the most coveted careers, such as pro athlete, astronaut, actor, actress, and singer, trend more towards fantasy than reality. Okay, well, obviously. What are you trying to show here? But here's the numbers. In middle school, okay, so they have elementary, middle, and high school. Elementary school... professional athlete 13.8, teacher 13.7. These can't be recent numbers.
I was gonna say that's
veterinarian 13.5.
I mean,
and then you have
nothing wrong with any of those.
I just feel I don't see streamer or anything on here. Doctor, astronaut, scientist, artist, actor. These look like responses you would have got in like the 80s. I don't see gamer, streamer.
Is there a year on it or? If it's like 20.
Last updated June 23rd, 2020. I was just expecting to see.
Really?
Let me find a different one here because I'm actually okay. This is from 2017. So I don't know if TikTok will be on here because I don't even think it was called
definitely
TikTok.
Won't be on there. I'm pretty sure Vine was still around in 2017.
10 most popular jobs for kids, all ages. Doctor, veterinarian, police officer, firefighter. Who's making these numbers?
That's what I'm saying.
We'll go
saw
out.
something about it, but
I know if we asked, I know for a fact right now, if we asked 20 kids just so that we could go find it around Wyndham, what do you want to be when you get older? I guarantee at least half of them are gonna say something about YouTube, streaming,
something
gaming,
about social
TikTok,
media.
Social media.
That's exactly what they want to be.
So I just can't imagine that doctor, veterinarian. I mean, maybe they're talking about like little kids that don't even know about. But nowadays, I feel like they do know about TikTok.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
I feel like half of TikTok is just 11, 12-year-old kids scrolling through.
I was going to ask you that. How old do you think most of these kids are that are watching TikTok? I can't even imagine. I didn't even get a phone till I was I think I was in 9th grade when I got a phone, 8th or 9th grade.
Oh, see, I was in 3rd grade when I got
Were you really? I waited as long as I could because I didn't want to pay for a phone bill. So I waited as long as I could. And so,
I wasn't paying for it in 3rd grade. So.
Yeah. My parents were going to make me pay for it, though. So I waited as long as I could. But nowadays, I know some kids that are like 7, 6, 7 years old that have a phone. What the heck? You know how much access you're giving your kids at that point? And that's a whole nother topic. But it really does come into effect at school, too, because kids can be at school, and it'd be way easier to cheat with a little phone, as compared to, back in the day. I'm not saying anyone cheated. I'm not saying me or you cheated. But you had to write stuff on your arm, or you had to be creative about it. Nowadays, kids can just have their little, now you got the Apple Watch. You got to watch out for the Apple Watch because you can do whatever you want on there. We haven't even talked about how technology has affected. You brought it up a little bit, but the real effects of technology affecting schools nowadays. I feel like we saw some of the effects when we were in school, like people were sending inappropriate pictures, stuff like that going on. You know what I mean? I'm not bringing up any names. I'm not trying to get controversial here. I'm just saying.
It's just funny thinking about it when you bring it up.
I don't even want to know what kind of stuff goes on in schools nowadays because now everyone has a phone. Everyone's got an Apple Watch. They got the AirPods now. You can put your hood up, put the AirPods in. You have no idea. Back then you had to put the cord behind your head, put your ear, and then the hood up. So we haven't even gotten to that yet, just about how technology has changed. But I am going to say right now, I guarantee these numbers about what kids want to be when they get older are not right at all.
I totally agree with that because I feel like just kids are so infatuated with social media. And like these kids, I mean, I can't just say these kids. I spend like all day on my phone going like either watching YouTube videos, Twitter, Instagram, all of that.
I do love YouTube. I'm not a fan of TikTok.
I don't even have TikTok.
I'm not a fan of TikTok at all. I think
Hall of Fame maturity badge.
Oh, there you go, Adam Hall of Fame maturity badge. I think I think that TikTok is just a breeding ground for cringe. That's all I see is cringe on there. I hate that they ruin songs too. That's my biggest the biggest downfall. I saw that Tony Lopez, which apparently all the kids love him. We Paid. He did We Paid, and it's cringe. It's so bad. It's really bad.
I pray that Lil Baby and 42 Dugg never have to see that video.
Oh, I bet they would rip it to pieces. I wish there was more of that. I wish there was more people reacting to TikToks. Why don't you ever see that? Do you see any? You know, you watch The Flight Guy. He reacts to NBA. Does he react to TikTok?
Oh yeah, he has.
Really?
He has a bunch of videos.
Does he roast them?
It depends on the one. Like there's like some videos he watched where it's like Flight reacts like cringiest TikToks.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, but I mean Flight's my guy.
I literally watched one the other day, and it was a girl, and she's like, "What am I gonna do with my stepbrothers or whatever?" And they. Or no. You know what I'm talking about? She's like, I'm stuck in the dryer or the washer, and her brothers come and pull their pants down, and I look at her profile, and she's got like 1 million followers, whatever. I'm like, and anytime you ask yourself, who is watching this? You already know what the answer is. Kids.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Kids.
A ton of them are kids.
You want to know who's watching Logan Paul, Jake Paul, all these guys.
Yeah.
Kids.
Like the Paul brothers are role models. Like, but like that's a totally valid point. I mean, like, but they're like that ties into what I was saying about how like these kids just watch them all day and they're like inspired by them. You know? And then you have the kids doing a bunch of all this dumb stuff. Just because they're like, oh I watch him do it in a video.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously. Horrible. I mean, obviously the kids aren't going to take the disclaimer if they even have where it's like, don't try this at home. You know?
Yeah. Oh, of course not.
I mean, it's like me watching WWE when I was like 12. You know, obviously I'm still going to RKO people off the couch.
It's crazy, but what influence are they going to get from all these the younger generation? What influence are they going to get from watching these videos because they have access to all this crazy stuff?
I think that essentially, like, what I would imagine they get from it is. These guys are doing ridiculous things
and making money,
and they're like millionaires. If you're talking like the Paul brothers, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And if I do something like this, and enough people see it, then I will be like them too, and then I'll have a bunch of people following me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that they look for like fame in the wrong ways. You know, because I mean, let's be honest. The quickest way to get famous is to like do something ridiculous or do something
100%.
like terrible. You know,
and it's scary.
That's the best way to get fame.
Yeah.
And people are so willing to. You know, drop everything that they have in their life to become famous.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a terrible, you know, mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it works out for some people. But
and I think we talked to, I don't know if you were on the episode where we had Hanson on.
Yep.
We talked to him, and we asked him, for people that don't know, Mr. Hanson was our teacher. And we brought it up to him because me and Adam aren't teachers, obviously, so we don't know the direct effects. We asked him though about technology in schools. You know, how does it affect the younger generation? And he said, "Oh yeah, of course. You know, you're gonna have your students that abuse it, but then you also have all the good things you can do with it. I mean, if you bring it up strictly as an education thing, there are so many tools that you can have on there. I mean." We haven't been in school for a while now, but all of the new apps that have came along, all the things that you can do on your iPad that you could, and not just iPad, but a lot of schools are getting like Chromebooks for all the students now. Where before, you had to go to the computer lab. Everyone would go to the computer lab. I don't even know if they have computer labs anymore.
I honestly,
you probably don't need them.
I would assume so, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's like when I was at Crookston. They gave every kid a laptop. It was like a brand new laptop.
Really?
I mean, there was
tuition.
There was like a computer fee, and you had to give it back at the end of the year.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, obviously college is different because you use the internet and stuff a lot more because you're not in the same building for 8 hours together 5 days a week.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and we definitely got to do an episode on college. There's a lot to say about that. But I think that will be it for this week for just regular education system. We will go into college education another time, and we can actually dive into that because a lot of people, I feel like there's a lot of kids that think that they need to go to college or they need to follow a certain path in life to be happy or to be successful. There's so many different ways to go. So maybe we could talk about experiences and stuff because you're in college. I dropped out of college. Colin didn't go to college. Damon went to college. So there's like different, everyone's got an opinion on it. So we could definitely talk about that. this is the Eth Clerc podcast show, though. It's good to be back, and hopefully Dame and Colin can be back with us next week.
For sure.
Get back on here because we'll get the whole crew back together.
Aren't you going to be gone next week, or is that 2 weeks?
Oh, crap. We are going to be gone next week, actually. We're going to be in Utah, Vegas, so we're going to have to figure that out. Maybe we'll have to do something this weekend. This weekend's pretty busy,
I'll be
too.
gone this weekend, too. So
Well,
we'll
we might be doing a podcast in Vegas, interviewing strippers. So no, I'm just messing with you. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Adam, thank you for joining me today.
Always.
It's been a great podcast. Very interesting stuff. Remember, Ghislaine Maxwell, people. She is not going to commit suicide. She's not going to catch the coronavirus. She is going to be killed by the government if she dies. So that is our prediction. We will be back next week, maybe. We'll be back sometime.
Within the next 2 weeks.
Within the next 2 weeks, we'll be back. So thank you very much for watching. This is the Eth Clerc podcast show.
And then
I remember.
It's not even the shape.
Mentally ill.
A special effects agency.